once the Islamic Republic is getting to its once it gets closer and closer to collapse, within the Islamic Republic, we will have many more people who will be defecting or at least staying home or trying to run away. Someone's mic is open. Guys, please close your mics while I'm speaking. What was I saying? So yeah, so there's going to be a lot of defection. However, there are certain people that would keep fighting as much as they can, even if they don't have anyone in their leadership, even if it's less organized, even if there's no command structure, even if they don't have any bases to go back to, even if they don't have the intelligence behind their operations like they used to be able to be effective. As long as they have a gun and bullets, there are certain people within the IRGC that would think that I'm just going to keep shooting until I die, right? And honestly, I think that they're going to focus their attention on killing people rather than historical sites. And honestly, if they wanted to take out historical sites, that would just mobilize more people. My priority is saving people's lives, right? As hard as it is to say that, but yeah, I
Yeah,
think our priority should be to save people's lives. And if they're distracted with anything else, at least less people are dying. But this is going to be an issue regarding what sort of damage they want to do. This is going to be an issue, and it's not going to be like the final, like it's not like that the Israelis and Americans will be able to just eliminate all of the threat against the Iranian people before the Iranian people are back in the streets. There will be some resistance. So I don't know how high the price is going to be, but the price is going to be not zero. With regards to how much more missiles they have, I'm also getting mixed reports, and it's hard to verify which ones are correct. But what we can observe is that the number of missiles going at Israel are much like being shot at Israel is much less than people anticipated. Even if you have your missiles, if you can't launch them, like what good are they, right? So what I do know is that their launchers are very, very few, right? So
okay.
it doesn't really matter how much missiles they have left if there's no way to launch them. And I've noticed that the reports suggest that so many of the launchers are gone and only a few are left. I don't know how many missiles they have left, but I think focus. Maybe Jeffrey has a opinion about this, but my understanding is focusing on how many missile launchers they have is more important than how many missiles they have. Well, how many missiles they have would be more important if they're supposed to live to fight another day. That would be a very important number. Like, okay, how many missiles they have, because once this war is over, they have these many missiles left to use in the next war, in the next military operation. But if there is not going to be any next military operation, then the number of missile launchers are more important to focus on. But Jeffrey, what do you think?
It was in the report I sent you, right? Why it is that we're doing tell hunting. So most open intelligence assessments, very well done. So best open source intelligence assessments where Mullah's capability is as of the 5th of March versus to previous to like prior to the onset of operation on February 28th. 86% reduction in launch capability, right? With ballistic missiles. Actually, it's more like 90%. So 90% of the Mullah regime's ballistic missile launch capability has been reduced or eliminated. As far as the drones, those were more numerous, and that's the reason is that the Mullah regime doubled down on drones because they're relatively inexpensive, so they're attritable one-way munitions. That's about 75% destroyed. That's to the best of open intelligence estimates that I can share. So they're at about like their launch capability, 73%. That is rapidly diminishing to zero. One of the reasons why we had to go in the time period that we did is because the Mullah regime was getting material support from both Putin's criminalized counterintelligence state, the Chinese Communist Party, and North Korea. North Korean regime is actually one of the largest, if not the largest, proliferator of ballistic missile technology. And the Chi-Coms provided the mullahs they're like, it's kind of like a big mixing bowl, about like 27 feet tall. And what it does, it mixes solid fuel for ballistic missiles. And the significance of that is is that solid fuel ballistic missiles can be like launched ready to go, stored ready to go, whereas liquid fuel, it takes about 8 hours to fuel. So, that the Mullah regime was getting ready to, we're like, yeah, no, it's time to take these guys out and shoot the archer before, so we don't have to shoot as many arrows out of the sky. And so that's why we did that. So, as it stands right now, if things are going the way they are right now, we have total air dominance in the region, like overall of Iran. We put in B-52s, which means now they're going to be on station doing things like just pulling almost like close air support, doing tail hunting. So when they pull their things out of the missile cities that Armin talked about, they're underground and hardened. That's part of it. As soon as you launch it, you're going to catch a warhead, and that launcher's done. So, that's almost as surely a couple of things are undermining the Mullah regime's ability to launch missiles altogether. One is their command and control, and their leadership has been absolutely obliterated. Like they're done. So there's no command and control. C4ISR, which is command, communication, control, information, all like the things used to coordinate stuff, that's all been taken out. So they can't coordinate anything. A large portion of the transport electron launches, that's the like trucks that pull out, and then the missiles, those like a large portion of them have been destroyed. Every time they pull out and launch something, we immediately track where that's it, and then that catches like a munition, and that's done. We're actively hunting all the rest of it, like aggressively. Both the United States and the Israeli Air Force act like aggressively. So that's, I mean, most assessment shows within the next 24 hours, there's going to be almost none of that left. It's also why the Mullah regime was like tapping Hezbollah to try and coordinate their missile strikes with whatever little they have left against Israel, because they're trying to supplement in country ballistic missile and drone launch capability with their external proxies. And the IDF is actively hunting all of Hezbollah in southern Lebanon to take care of all them. The simple fact is, no one's leaving this half cooked. Donald is very much in it to finish the job. And that is going to happen that's actually ahead of schedule because of the level and intensity of the initial strikes and what we've done so far. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you very much. And before I go, I just want to say thank you, Israelis, for having our backs, and the Americans. Israelis, stay safe, please, and just know that we, the children of Cyrus, love you.
Love you too, man.
Bye.
That was so beautiful. That was so beautiful. I'm glad I had that recorded. Okay.
Next, we have Shy.
Everyone, hello Armin. First of all, Armin, I DM'd you some things if you could take a look, if you don't mind.
It's really difficult for me right now. So really, really difficult. Like it's basically the messages that I need to check is Susie, my dad, and Goldie, and my wife, basically. And there's nobody else that I can't
Okay.
check right now. It's like, yeah, it's really
Okay.
hard. Sorry, I'm so
Well,
sorry. I'm
okay.
so sorry.
What I was trying to tell you is that I can do to help. I was suggesting for video editing, but now that I think of it, if you need somebody to go through your messages, I could do that too. Just an idea.
Yeah, well, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I want to report based on what people were saying. I'm very lucky somehow. About 5 kilometers south of me, there's an area with a lot of sirens, and all the way down to the south in the center, and about 10 kilometers north of me. And I'm in a place where almost all the time, if there's an alert, it's to get close to a bomb shelter, and then some 20 minutes later, the it's over. You can keep going with your stuff. So that's been I entered the bomb shelter twice, literally twice over the past. So it's amazing how we're going after these launchers and everything, and I'm just very thankful because I've been able to take a lot of walks around my neighborhood over the past few days, listening to Iran Revolution live mainly, and just like Javid Shah, like wow, amazing history is happening and I'm living it. I do see some interceptions from far away in the sky. I do see them. And sometimes there's explosions from really far away, and I guess those are the interceptions. And they get all the way to my building, and sometimes the window gets rattled a little bit. But it's very far away, so that is why they're not. Mostly, I don't need to go into the bomb shelter. only sometimes get close to it because sometimes they think it might get to my area. So that's very nice. So basically, drones were able to kill some besiege units on motorcycles, and then I thought to myself, what's to stop us from having drones all over Iran looking for IRGC people shooting, and as soon as they shoot, we take them out. And I think that's actually part of the plan, and that means
All
we
right.
don't need any. Yeah, that's it.
Let me quickly respond to that, and we'll move to the next
Yeah.
person. Okay. First of all, that video that you're talking about is probably AI. That video that you're talking. Also, if there are, if this was a thing that we should have considered, Princess of Pahlavi's team were already considered it. Okay, like they are already talking to a lot of people, and I think we should like not get ahead of Princess of Pahlavi's team on this.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I think following their leadership of Princess of Pahlavi and his team is the best thing to do. But I don't want to get into so many details right now. We could talk about this another time soon. Okay.
Okay, sure. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. So guys,
Javid Shah.
yeah, we're Javicha. All right, guys, let's focus from now on questions and try to time it under 2 minutes. Okay. Because I only have 20 more minutes.
Mr. Jeffrey, I had you on the list. Were you meant to be there?
Oh, he kind of touched on it. It's okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Next we have Dijal.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Hey, Armin, getting back to talking about the Kurds, just wanted to let you know, give you a heads up. Both Harris Sultan and Warren made some videos talking about the Kurds. And I know you said it's fake news and they're not going in, but they made some videos covering that being under the impression that they were. And they're both. I just wanted to tell you, they're both kind of talking about the Kurds like, well, maybe there is a kind of should be kind of a Kurdistan, or maybe they're going to try to go for it, and maybe they need to make some concessions to the Kurds, and especially Tal, and basically acting like the Iranian Kurds are just like all the others, and want an independent Kurdistan. When of course, you and I both know they don't. Most of them are loyal to Iran. They're loyal to the Shah, and talking about them like they're, you know, just like the others. And I just want to give you a heads up on that. So, because I know you're friends with them, and maybe you could.
The thing is that I don't. That's good information to have, but I think maybe we Iranian people should just keep focusing on everybody supporting us on this continuing these military operations and not worry about everybody getting everything 100% correct, right? Because we might be alienating some of our allies if we were like, oh, you're supporting us the wrong way, this is wrong, you're getting that information wrong, like this is not the proper way to support us. Like I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, okay, well then I don't know, I guess I'm not qualified enough to be able to support this, like I guess I'm not educated enough, I'm not going to touch the subject. I think we need to just be grateful that they care about our freedom and liberating Iran, and if they ask us, we'll tell them what we think about this whole, separatist nonsense and everything. But I'm not going to, like, I don't want to basically chase people down and tell like, you're supporting us the wrong way. And I think that is like, and because I think that once we're free, the Iranian people are strong enough to be able to defend their borders. I think that some Israelis and some Americans not 100% understanding what the situation on the ground is not, because they are doing so much to get us to the point where we could actually start defending our borders, and that's what matters. So I think we should be just lazy, as Susie mentioned, we should be just laser focused on getting us to the finish line and not worry about the fact that some of our allies in the war in this war think that, I don't know, maybe the Kurdish separatist group are good, maybe we should give them certain things, maybe they have a chance, maybe their involvement is a good thing. It's fine. Everybody could think that as long as we get rid of the Islamic Republic, we will deal with defending our borders after we get rid of the Islamic Republic. Just as the sooner we get to the point where we untie the hands of Iranian people, the sooner we will unleash this great national power of the Iranian people to go and protect their borders. Okay, so just let's just focus on untying their hands.
Yeah, I got you, man. That makes sense. I just wanted to give you a heads up on that because I know I mean, if you could have a nice friendly chat with them, not being not accuse them of anything because I know your friends. It's just you could just tell them like just have a talk if you wanted to.
Yeah,
I wanted to give you a heads up.
yeah. I just don't want that talk to come off as like sometimes. Sometimes even if you completely are friendly on something, it comes off as ungrateful. You know what I mean? And these are people who have been such strong allies of us. And sometimes a correction of getting something wrong might come off as like, wow, we're supporting these people and they're just telling us that we're not doing it the proper way. So I think like if I ever have a chance to message any of these people, I want my message to be focused on appreciation rather than correction. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I got.
That's good to
Yeah,
know.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Makes sense.
Okay. Okay. All
Okay,
right.
next we have Harris.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, perfect. I don't really have a question, but I just wanted to make a point that I watched one of Havib's latest podcasts, and it was an awesome podcast where he was talking about how this war is basically an American war and not really an Israeli war. And even though people are saying that Israel basically dragged America into this war. That's just not the actual reality. So there's a regional chessboard on which Israel, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and all these Emiratis play. Right. That's the chessboard that Israel is playing on right now. But there's a second chessboard that's vastly larger on which the United States and China are the primary players. And on this board, the central question of the next 30 years is being worked out whether the American led global order survives or whether the China one gets displaced. So, right, every significant American foreign policy decision that you see from the last couple of months from Donald Trump, whether that's the tariffs, it's all the moves being made on this vastly larger board, right? And so what happened was once Iran sort of embedded itself so deeply in China's architecture, whether that's military, technology, the economy, it stopped being that small regional problem. It became, part of a much larger contest between the United States and China as a whole. So just the one last thing I want to point out is that the Americans went to war with Israelis because that's the best way to fight a war like this, right? So having having a loyal ally that's willing to deal some serious damage and absorb blowback lowers costs to Americans and essentially increases the chance for success. But if America ever finds itself in like a kinetic fight with China, it's going to leverage Taiwan, it's going to leverage Japan and South Korea to play a similar role in the fighting. That's all I wanted to just add to this
So
topic.
so I agree and I also disagree a little bit because I think that I don't want to under Israel, it's not that Israel is just a very very helpful. I think
Yes.
Israel is necessary. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, Israel is not just a pawn. Israel is, without Israel, United States would not have the political capital to be able to do everything it's doing in the Middle East. So
Oh,
Israel is
absolutely.
not just, yeah. So I just want to give Israel a lot more credit than just a pawn of United States. So I mean, if Israel is giving United States a lot of leverage, well, United States is giving Israel a lot of leverage as well, right? So their relationship is goes both ways.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
do, yeah. And you're right. When it comes to China, United States will also use its allies like Japan, Vietnam, Philippines, South Korea, Australia. There's a lot of allies there when it comes to containing the threat of China. However, none of them come even close to
No.
what
Yeah.
Israel is
Absolutely.
capable
Yep.
of doing, right? Like Israel's military ability is on a different level. Like no country has eliminated America's enemies more than Israel, right? No country. So it's like calling it. So it's yeah. So it's an ally like no other. I do agree that getting rid of the Islamic Republic, it makes a lot of sense before this Cold War between United States and China is about to start. We're rapidly moving to this phase of world history where it's going to become obvious that basically United States and China are on a major competition for dominance over energy and rare earth metals and trade routes and strategically military locations, right? And unlike many things in economics, this is a winner take all zero sum game, a competition between China and United States. And given that China's dominance over rare earth metals, United States has to have as much dominance over energy in this new era
Yeah.
of AI and technology that we're getting in. So it makes sense for oil-rich countries to all be U.S. To most of them to be U.S. allies before we enter this phase of world history. And Iran being a playground for China and Russia would put the United States at a serious disadvantage entering this new phase. So it was absolutely necessary for Iran to become a U.S. ally before we enter this
Yeah.
phase. It gives the United States a lot of a huge upper hand once we enter that phase. So that's why it was very important for us to do this.
Yeah, no, that's great analysis. And the funny thing is, one of the most revealing subplots of this whole situation is just Russia recently signed a strategic partnership with Iran, I believe, in January last year, and then China and when the missiles dropped, basically just pin drop silence, right? And I think that even this war even made BRICS completely irrelevant as a whole.
Wait, was BRICS relevant at some point? Okay. Oh,
It
sorry.
was that
Okay.
it was the way that Trump is playing this. He's looking at it from a Chinese hegemony. He's trying to stop the Chinese hegemony, right? That's where his mindset is. So he just wants to dismantle as much as he can. But when you think of it from this perspective, a lot of like chips kind of fall into place. So it's not like Netanyahu would dragged Trump into this war. I don't think that that's an accurate to say, because a lot of people on the social media are saying it, and it's kind of like it's like childish thinking, like.
Yes, yes. No, the reason why a lot of people on social media are talking about the information that is coming out shows that apparently President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu were on the same page for a long time now, and apparently a lot of the disagreements was just for show to confuse the Islamic Republic, right? So it seemed like they were completely on the same page. The information that social media is running with regards to like, oh, Israel is dragging us United States into this war is something Marco Rubio and some other people said regarding an information that made Israel want to attack earlier, and then Americans had to get involved earlier because Israel had to get involved earlier. It changed the date of the military operation from, I don't know, from a Sunday to a Friday. Like it just moved it by a couple of days. The military operation was already a plan to go, like they already, like both United States and Israel had already planned this a long time ahead. Like they actually had, apparently they had planned this even before their Lion and Sun revolution. Like this was this they had they had this plan to do this way like a long time ago, like a couple of months ago. So the only thing that changed because of what Israel had to do, because of the information that they got, was basically change the date of the military operations just by a few days. And so that made the Americans also have to enter the military operations a couple of days earlier. That's what's happening. But they're pretending that that shows that the entire military operation is because of Israel, which is, I mean, these people would always say that anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah. Anyways, let's move to the
Thank you
next
for that.
person because I have only 10 minutes. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Great questions, by the way.
Okay, Shadi, are you back and ready with us? Okay, let's do Eric, and then we'll give time for Shadi to answer in the chat.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool. Hello, how are you? So, Jonathan Larson of the Young Turks posted a fine piece a couple of days ago. He was basically saying that US troops were told Iran war is for the Armageddon and the return of Jesus. So basically, they are trying to spin this as some sort of religious war from the US and from Peter Hegseth, that was the main character they were accusing. So my question is, do you think this will have any impact in the public discourse in the US, or is this totally irrelevant? The reason I'm asking is because I've seen a couple of articles in Europe from some larger news outlets that are running this story.
Well, I mean, it's hard to tell what resonates with the public ahead of time. Usually, you have to observe it until you see what happens. But honestly, I think that the number one way for people anti the isolationists in the United States to try to stop this military operation against the Islamic Republic is to focus on the conspiracy theory, the lie that Israel is dragging America into a war. I think that's what would work the best right now in the United States, given the a lot of people the conspiracy theory that Epstein was part of Israeli agent, and United States is being ruled by Israelis through people like Epstein. They even have a name for it, like the Epstein class
Yeah.
government, they call it. So this whole Jew hatred and suggesting that the Jews are controlling America and we're at war with the Islamic Republic because the Jews have decided this. I mean, they won't say Jews, they will say Israelis, but you know what they mean. This is right now the best card that they have to play to try to get more Americans, especially after the Epstein files, and many Americans thinking that, oh, this is Israel, and hating on all politicians because of Epstein. This is going to be, if you're trying to attack President Trump, given that they think that he's also for part of the Epstein operation, and he's also a child molester, even though they have no evidence for that. They just hate all these politicians, and they think they're all dirty and they're all part of this vague, confusing Jewish conspiracy theories that politicians are just a whole bunch of people that are being controlled by these Jews at the top, using, I don't know, a bunch of pedophiles being managed by Jews because the Jews have some videos, incriminating videos of them. This is right now, especially among a lot of young people in America. This is what they think. And so, just, I mean, some people believe in different versions of this, or some people, there's like this a spectrum, how much have you buying into this conspiracy theory there is. But because it's so widespread and so common, just suggesting that, yeah, Trump is basically a puppet of the Zionist Jews, and he's not really representing the American people, he's representing Israel. That's the number one way to try to convince Americans to be anti-Trump, and to try to take away President Trump's political capital for him to continue this operation. And guys, by the way, the people who believe this stuff, they're so cuckoo that if you want to tell them like this is a conspiracy theory, it doesn't really work like that. But if you want to if you want to try to address these people, telling that their beliefs about Epstein or Jews or Israel is wrong, uh, is not very effective, because if you tell people that they're wrong, they become defensive. In my opinion, focusing on how evil the Islamic Republic is and how anti-American they are is the best response, is the best way to try to get some of these people on our side, rather than telling them how wrong they are about Epstein and Israelis. So just using evidence from the Ayatollahs themselves, just from them, that what their goals are, the fact that they're anti-American, the fact that they have killed Americans, the fact that they're actually behind every terrorist activity that kills Americans. You could see the Islamic Republic being part of it in one way or another. You could show them their ideology, like their videos from Iran regarding what their agenda is. They're completely transparent about it. So focusing on the fact that this was that these are anti-American people, that their eventual goal is to destroy America. And this is actually, and instead of telling them that they were getting atomic bombs, because every time you say that, they're like, oh, they said that about Saddam, focusing on the fact that they actually have already killed many Americans, and demonstrating that they have killed Americans, that might actually work better in our favor than trying to tell people why they're wrong. So yeah, does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Jovicho.
Javicha, Amazrochai.
Okay, last chance. Shadi, are you still with us?
Okay, so just wanted to point out one thing before I go. Great timing, by the way. I am okay. So here's this. Notice how there is not that many. There's not protests in favor of the Islamic Republic right now, right? So this is really good. Like, so if this was Gaza, right now the streets would be filled with people protesting. Free Palestine kind of nonsense in the streets, right? One thing that the Iranian people, I just want to give credit to the Iranian people. So let me actually give full context, right? So right now the Islamic Republic is being attacked, and many people around the world are condemning it, but you don't see university campuses being filled with protests. You don't see people come out into the streets in the same way that they will come out for Gaza, waving the terrorist Palestinian flag, saying free Palestine. You don't see those same people in mass coming out and waving the Islamic Republic flag and supporting the mullahs, even though Israel is involved. And these people who are anti-Israeli, they are, they're condemning Israel on social media. There's not that much of a force, in response to that. There's not that much of a backlash. So if Israel was attacking Gaza, the backlash in the streets and on campuses would be so much more significant than when they're fighting the Islamic Republic. There's many different reasons for this, in my opinion, but one of the reasons I think is the Iranian people did a really good job communicating how evil the ayatollahs are to the world, to the point that is undeniable, right? So when it comes to Gaza, many the people like, the understanding is that many people around the world, like, their conspiracy theory is that, oh, Israel is doing genocide, Israel is evil, the Palestinian people are good, they're the victims, they're being oppressed by Israel, and the bad evil Israel is oppressing them and killing them, right? But when it comes to, so that's why so many people will get motivated to come out and basically try to defend the so-called Palestinians, right? But when it comes to the Ayatollahs, because the Islamic Republic and IRGC, the Iranian people did a really good job communicating to the world that these people are evil, right? So as much as people who hate Israel would want to come out and protest against this, they can't, because they don't want to be seen as supporting the Ayatollahs, right? Because they see them as oppressors as well against the Iranian people, right? So they're like, when they want to, they still focus more on attacking Israel. Like, even though the mullahs killed, like, the Islamic Republic killed tens of thousands of Iranian peoples in a much less time that it took the people in Gaza to get up to that numbers. But they point to that, but they still focus more of their attention and time condemning Israel. But at least the fact that the world has accepted that the Islamic Republic is evil, most people around the world have accepted that, means that they will not dare come out and support the Islamic Republic, waving the Islamic Republic flag. I mean, not at least not in the numbers that we see for Gaza. And I just wanted to point that out as a win for the Iranian people and how effective their presence has been all around the world. So just as a major credit to the Iranian people for achieving that. I just wanted to say that. All right, guys. So I'm gonna stop the recording.
If you
Right?
don't mind,
BT?
Armin, can I do a very quick last question from Sapir? She's been back and forth in the shelter, and she had a quick question for you.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do that.
There are way more missiles being sent to the UAE than any other country. Basically,
Mhm.
almost twice as many as are being sent into Israel. What do you think about that?
Okay, so first of all, so why is the Islamic Republic attacking the UAE right now much more than they attacking Israel? Okay, there's multiple reasons in my opinion. First of all, why even attack Israel right now? Like, what is even the point? Right. So, I mean, Israel is in it. Everybody understands that they're not going to back down, and they're for full-on regime change. And missiles being sent at Israel is not going to deter them. But right now, things are. The Islamic Republic is really desperate, really desperate to stop this military operation. So it needs to put maximum pressure on President Trump to stop this military operation. Attacking Israel does not achieve that goal. What do you think is going to happen? Like, Israel is going to go to America and say, like, let's stop this military operation because I'm getting attacked by missiles? Like, so honestly, any missile being thrown at Israel, in my opinion, is a waste of a missile. In fact, if I was at the Islamic Republic, I would identify the most vulnerable countries that have the highest influence in Washington D.C., right? Obviously, like, if I was the Islamic Republic, I would say, like, okay, my missiles being thrown at the UAE are doing more damage than any missile that I hit sent towards Israel. Israel has a much stronger defense system than the UAE, and UAE is a rich, powerful country with a lot of influence inside Washington D.C. So hopefully, I could get them to ask President Trump to stop this. I mean, the Saudis are now all in on regime change, so that's not going to help as much. So maybe the UAE would be the best option for me to. And UAE is very sensitive. By the way, the entire economic model of UAE has been broken. The reason why you see UAE is so rich is because they sold themselves as the stable country in the Middle East. So all of that oil and gas investment that has to go somewhere, a lot of it has to go to UAE because everywhere else is too chaotic and unsafe for investment. That's why UAE, you see all of those sky rises and everything that you see in UAE that impresses you is because of that. So just even a single missile, the first missile that landed in the UAE, basically destroyed that entire narrative, let alone the fact that they're constantly being bombarded. Like, this is hell for the UAE. Like, this is like a nightmare. So you can imagine that from the Islamic Republic perspective, is like, okay, these people are the least tolerant of this continuing. So maybe we could get them to get Trump to stop, because we know that they have investments with Jared Kushner and Witkoff, and they have investments here. So maybe they will use them as a leverage against Washington D.C. It's not working, but you can see how desperate they are. So I mean, they're going with other countries as well. Like, they're going. So Azerbaijan was on my list. So I expected this to happen, but they hadn't attacked Azerbaijan for a while. But now Azerbaijan is attacked as well. I don't know if there's any country in the region that they haven't attacked. Maybe have they hit Armenia? I think Armenia. I don't know, but I mean, yeah, they haven't hit Pakistan and Afghanistan, but that's not going to do them any favor. Like, they have no leverage in. But we had a list of 11 countries that need to be protected, and all of the countries on that list have been targeted. All of the countries on the list, but they have actually attacked 13 countries, so two that we didn't have on our list. So they're just trying to see where they could do the maximum damage, and Israel is not the place that they could do maximum damage. So, by the way, every missile that they're throwing at somewhere else that is not Israel is, I mean, a missile that is not coming towards you. So the fact that it's being spread across different countries, that means that Israelis are a lot safer compared to a situation where they wanted to focus all their firepower on Israel. This also suggests that this is the beginning of the end, by the way, because this is only a tactic that you would use when you're so close to a complete collapse. It wouldn't make any sense. Like, it wouldn't make sense to use this because, guys, imagine if you were thinking about the day after the military operation, then you wouldn't do any of this. The only reason why you would do all of this is because you really think that there might not be a day after these military operations for you. Nobody would destroy all the relationships with every single country unless they think, well, it doesn't really matter because we're not going to be around to see it if we don't do this.
We are winning.